95 to 97% of people's behaviors, decision-making, and actions are running unconsciously.
3% of what we do is actually voluntary, thoughtful, and processed through. Yeah. Everything else is running on a program in the background. Mm-hmm. And when we say unconscious, that means we are not aware of it.
Yes.
And that's tremendous.
Yeah. And then most of the time people are aware of what they did, like anywhere from like 2 to 11 seconds later. Like I was just working with an owner today and last week, and something had happened to her and she was like, oh my gosh, I reacted like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, how come I said all that? What did I do? And I'm like, well, your unconscious mind hijacked you.
Today, I'm so excited to introduce to you Brigette Sobus, who is a brilliant business coach, consultant, and mentor. She's a seasoned entrepreneur and a multiple award-winning coach who helps leaders and business owners create profitable businesses and live empowered lives that they love. She's a former salon owner who transformed a struggling salon business into one of Salon Today's top 200 salons for 13 years running, which is an incredible accomplishment. In addition, she's coached business owners for over 15 years, leading them from burnout to financial freedom and 30 to 50% growth and profitability. I am so excited to welcome you to the show. So thank you, Brigette, for being with us today.
Oh, I'm so excited to be here with you, Heather.
I would love to know, Brigette, what helped you discover your passion in consulting and what helped you begin to realize your potential as a coach and really decide that this was the path for you and your passion?
So I took over an existing salon in 2005 I was working at. I was making a 6-figure income as a master colorist. And I thought to myself, if this person can own a business, there's no reason why I can't, which I'm sure many entrepreneurs out there have felt the same thing. So that's one of the reasons they became a business owner. And then I quickly realized I had no idea what I was doing as a business owner. I lost my 6-figure paycheck and I was crying. I was a hot mess crying all the time.
Oh.
And I hired a business coach and consultant pretty much straight away. And back then, that was in 2005, and it wasn't even very popular back then, coaching. And I was even investing like probably around $2,000 a month for a coach. Wow. And it was I had no money, and it was also the best thing I ever did. So by working with a coach and consultant, that's where I started changing my business around, grew it by 30, 40% each year, and was able to lead a team without crying, which is pretty cool.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That was a good day. You stopped crying so much.
I know. So I was inspired to become a coach and consultant. So yeah, a few years into owning my own business, that's kind of where my journey started, becoming a trainer. And then I became a certified coach with the International Coaching Federation. I was traveling around, going to hair shows. I was probably a road warrior for at least 9 years, 10 years going to hair shows. And I was able to really set up my own salon and have systems in place where I was able to leave the business for, 2 weeks at a time. And even there was a time when I was able to take a 7-month leave of absence from the salon because I had breast cancer for the first time, which you're all free and clear of.
Yes.
And, through my lots of my success, I've had really awful things happen, and I've had massive success at the heights of my success, even producing over 1.4 million in revenue between coaching and consulting work and my salon. Nothing ever seemed good enough for me. I was always on the next and the next and the next. I was a high performer, overachiever. I was a closet people pleaser. And I really relied heavily on my systems and my salon. So if an employee would ask me for time off and it wasn't within the guidelines of how to ask for time off, I would go back to the handbook and policies and procedures. But what I would find going home was that then my mind started ruminating on negative thoughts and like negative emotions. And I would feel bad and I would feel guilty and I'd be like, oh my gosh, what if they leave me? So I had lots of anxiety and lots of stress, even being very successful. So I was always suffering on the inside, and I put a really good face on for my employees. Even my coaching clients didn't realize how stressed out I was.
Right.
So I'm really passionate now about helping salon owners with their mindset, because 81% of business owners suffer from mental health issues and suffer silently.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing a lot of mental health tools and techniques to salon and spa owners so that they can have a healthy mindset and empower the policies and procedures that they have, and go on vacation and actually put their phone away.
Wow. Like that is a real concept. You and I have a similar passion for helping people be able to lead their lives like a CEO and have time off, which we support in different ways with our separate businesses. And I think what you're talking to in the extent of how many people are suffering silently with mental health issues and with those kind of challenges, I think especially as high performers, as leaders and entrepreneurs, I don't think an average person wakes up and says, I'm going to lead a team or I'm going to run a business. You got to be a little special breed of crazy to undertake such huge challenges. And you talk about being a people pleaser and really an overachiever. That probably describes the majority of people who make the decision into business ownership, leadership, or running any sort of business, especially a salon. And so I think that that's so important that you're bringing to light that. And you've worked with so many business owners over the last 15 years who are stuck or struggling, right? Dealing with that burnout. What patterns are you seeing most often? Like, what is the most common type of pattern you're seeing in those clients that you work with as a consultant? And what do you see as the most effective way you're able to lead them to break through those challenges?
Yeah. So, I mean, people pleasing is a big thing, whether they're worried about, moving clients over to other team members, or they're concerned about delegating things to others. So they're wearing like all the hats. Yeah. They're the highest performing person in the business, and all the late nights and working, nonstop. Yeah. And it's just interesting. It's, I love working with the unconscious mind, because I've seen a lot of other coaches and consultants out there post, even say whether they say it or they post on social media, and they're like, stop people pleasing. Well, if it was only that easy.
It's like saying, don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't feel sad.
So it's a lot. It's deeper than just telling someone to stop people pleasing. Yeah. Because, unfortunately, what's most likely happening is, between the ages of 0 to 7, our unconscious minds have created these belief systems that probably most likely have us do these behaviors of people pleasing. Sure. Because we're possibly afraid of, like, someone's going to leave us. We're unlovable. We're unworthy. I have worked with owners that have fear of success, fear of failure. Yeah. So I work with people so that I work with owners so that we can get to like what the root cause of the problem really is, so they can heal and release from it, and then they can stop the people pleasing.
Right. So it's not maybe so simple as telling them, you're a people pleaser, stop it. Yeah. I mean, seriously, that is, feels a little careless to give that kind of advice with no insight behind it. But, you're talking about these unconscious patterns, these things that might even just come from our childhood that we don't even remember. As a tribal species, the humans have developed we're still alive. The sapiens, we're still here on our planet because we learned to evolve in a tribe, that if we can adhere or gain alignment and safety within our tribe, we can survive. We won't be out in the cold, starving to death in the harsh elements, right? Though that's not the world we live in today, we haven't evolved as far as to understand that that's not what we need to survive. So, these are very, very biologically ingrained survival mechanisms that these are coping skills that we've developed as sapiens, right? Yeah. So what an interesting thing to work with. Do you find leaders are open to these concepts or resistant because they might be like, well, what do you mean? I just need to make more money, or I just need to be a little less stressed out. Do you find that the people you work with are open to what you do and leading them in their unconscious mind?
Yeah. So when I do find the people that are open to it, they're like all in. I will be honest with you. Like I'm like on a mission too, to create more awareness around how beneficial like hypnosis work is, how beneficial working with your unconscious mind is. Because like even 95 to 97% of people's behaviors, decision-making and actions are running unconsciously. Like, can you
Hold
think?
on. I want to reemphasize that.
Yeah.
That means about 3% of what we do is actually voluntary, thoughtful, and processed through. Yeah. Everything else is running on a program in the background. And when we say unconscious, that means we are not aware of it.
Yes.
And that's tremendous.
Yeah. And then most of the time people are aware of what they did, like anywhere from like 2 to 11 seconds later. Like I was just working with an owner today and last week, and something had happened to her and she was like, oh my gosh, I reacted like this. And I was like, oh my gosh, how come I said all that? What did I do? And I'm like, well, your unconscious mind hijacked you. That's all that happened. That's really what happened.
You flipped into the limbic brain, right? You were dealing with your lizard brain, your survival mechanism, right?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about how you help people with those breakthroughs. What is let's say a modality? You mentioned hypnosis. Is that something that you use in your practice when you're consulting people, or what measures do you approach this work with?
Yeah. So I do a lot of different combinations of like, I'll do conscious coaching, and which I consider like ICF coaching. And then I use modalities like NLP, which is neuro-linguistic programming, timeline therapy, which is a hybrid of advanced NLP work mixed with hypnosis. I'll do hypnosis. I do somatic coaching and meditation work as well. So what I'm helping my clients do, and it's very quantum leap work. Like it happens pretty rapidly. And I help them release like major negative emotions that may be getting in the way, like anger, fear, guilt, hurt, sadness. I mean, I know I've been going to, I was going to shows. I've trained in front of thousands of service providers and owners. And I would be like, what gets in the way? They all say they want to make more money, right? And then I was like, well, what gets in your way? And then I hear fear, guilt, feel bad, I don't deserve it, all the things. So I help service providers and owners release those core limiting beliefs or core negative emotions that continuously self-sabotage them. I help them release it so that they see, like I love the quote by Wayne Dyer, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I'm helping them release it and get all these positive learnings so then they can get into more action, inspired action, I like to call it. And then because they change their mindset, they make more money. They see less clients and they increase their sales by anywhere from, I've had people increase their sales just by shifting their mindset anywhere from 50 to 125%.
Wow. Yeah. By sales, do you mean an actual like retail item, or do you mean their productivity sales in their business entirely?
Yeah, overall sales, like whether it's service sales combined with retail sales.
If they're doing $100,000 a month, they begin doing $140,000 or $50,000 a month.
Yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That's a massive, like you said, a quantum leap. When you see these kind of results in your clients, how long does it take working with you for you to begin seeing these results? Or what things in common do these successful clients of yours have? What things are they doing, or how are they applying what they do with you to experience these kinds of shifts?
Yeah, I mean, I've had people. So I've had one service provider. Her name's Mary. She's a solopreneur. I actually certify owners to do this work. So it's not only like I'll do breakthrough work with them, I also train them so they can use the tools on the daily, I call it. Yeah. So Mary I had done consulting and coaching with her prior to that. And she would have growth and great results. And then once she took my first NLP certification, it's a 7-day course, a 7-day intensive. Not the very next month, she grew her business. She worked 10 days less, and she went from 6,000 on average in sales to 9,000 the very next month, and then clearing like 10.
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah. So she went to become a 6-figure earner, like the very next month.
I mean, that's a pretty big bang for your buck. That's a big payout and an investment to work with you. Do you have clients that you don't see great results with?
Yeah, I have. I probably would say the couple that haven't, most likely they had like secondary gain. Like they're getting something out of being stuck the way that they are.
Okay. So when you say secondary gain, the payoff for staying in a victim mode or staying subconscious was feeding them somehow.
Yeah. Staying stuck is a bigger payoff than they see on like getting to the other side.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that does happen with people. And tell me, when you see that, are you able to call it out and just say, hey, I don't think our work together is effective? Or is there a way that you kind of vet who might be a good fit to work with you, or where they need to be to start with you? Because I think if I was listening to this, I'd want to know, well, I don't even know if I'm qualified or if I could be flexible to this. Like, I'd want to have that kind of growth.
Yeah.
How do you determine if someone's a good fit to work with you?
Well, they're excited. They're ready. They're coachable.
Okay.
Like, so if someone were to, like, let's just say an owner came to me and was like, I want you to work with this one team member that I have.
Okay. I
would want to talk to the team member first, and I would have to find out, first and foremost, do they want to be there?
Okay.
Second of all, are they coachable? And are they open and willing to do the work? So if someone is extremely resistant, or if they were to sit back and go, okay, I don't know if this work is going to work for me, and
what am I doing here? Not
to me. I'd I'm not looking for clients that I have to prove this works. Like, I already have proven results and video testimonials and in case studies. So if someone was extremely resistant and wanting me to prove it to them, then most likely they're going to prove that I'm wrong.
Yeah. If your work is with a subconscious mind and someone's not willing to examine or take accountability for the subconscious mind, there's nothing you can do to help them. Basically, that's where they're at. So most people who want growth, who want results, would be a good fit for you.
Yes. 100%.
Okay, that's awesome. Who's your ideal client? Who's the ideal person that you want to work with? You mentioned that they're excited, that they're into working with you. Beyond that, do you love to work with people who are like right on the cusp of 7 figures in their salon business? Do you like working with people who are just like, where's the sweet spot where it's like, this person comes to me and it's my dream, it's who I want?
Yeah, I would, I love working with owners that already have systems. They have some systems in place, or they have systems, they just haven't done anything with them.
Okay.
And they already have had a lot of success, and they really are clear. They're like, I know that there's things getting in my way. Those are my ideal clients. And also, people that are just willing to do the work. They're like, it resonates with them. Like, I was on a different podcast with someone that's in the salon industry, Stacy Ciceron. Mm-hmm. Do you know her?
I haven't met her personally.
Okay. So I was on her podcast, and I had somebody reach out to me, a service provider that works at a commission-based, employee-based business. And her name's Salta. I have permission to share her story.
Wonderful.
So, and she's actually on my social media, like on a video testimonial. But like Salta, she heard me talking on Stacy's podcast, and she was like, she emails me and she's like, I'm ready. I heard you on this podcast. I want to work with you. And, we had a couple calls, and the work resonated with her. And like, yeah, so I did a breakthrough with her. So I do these 8-hour breakthroughs that are pretty quantum leap, where I work with somebody. I do usually like 4 2-hour sessions within 1 to 2 weeks of time.
Okay. Pretty concentrated.
Well, yeah, they're pretty concentrated, because I'm like, let's move. Let's move. So yeah. So Salta's like an ideal client of mine, because she's like, she hears it. She knows there's something getting in her way, and she is like ready to do the work.
I love that. Are these sessions that you do, these 8 hours total? Are your sessions typically 2 hours each?
Yeah, I can spread them out longer if need be. If I work with a client and they can only do like 1 hour at a time, or let's just say I worked with a client. Her name's Amanda, and when I did an 8-hour breakthrough session with her, and we had to do it 4 Fridays in a row.
Okay,
and then her results were like actually 1 year later, she grew her own personal salary as being the owner, like 125%.
See, I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. That's incredible. And these results are typical for you. And you've been doing this for 15 years. This isn't like one time last year I had one person. I mean, this is significant shifts you're seeing. Wow.
Yeah. And really what's cool is, especially the work I'm doing now, like with the NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnosis, because prior to consulting and coaching people, yes, I would have owners have, I call it the conscious coaching and traditional consulting. I would have them, they would have anywhere from 10, 20, sometimes 30% growth, or 50. And then now that with this new work I'm doing, with working with someone's mindset and helping them release the self-sabotage. I mean, I've had clients that have even had more exponential growth they call themselves money magnets. And they're like, because they've really worked on their mindset.
I freaking love this. There's a lot of work around subconscious mind, around the blocks that people have that they carry around with them. And, when you said people who are ready to do the work, you have to be aware that work is to be done to even be willing to do it. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but there's a lot of people who are like, I don't know why I just don't have good luck. I don't know why things just don't work out for me or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when they can become aware, like maybe from being exposed here, if they haven't heard it somewhere else, that there are things that we can do. This is what you're telling me and what I'm hearing. Yeah. There are things that we can do as entrepreneurs and business owners that release some of our subconscious programming and things that are sabotaging what we're doing to lead to greater success, greater peace of mind, and greater happiness. And like you said, everybody that you work with is like, I want more money. I mean, who doesn't want greater peace of mind or greater clarity? Oh, yeah. I think a lot of us are walking around in the dark and we don't realize that there's a light switch to turn on. We just know it's dark and we don't like it. And so it's really nice to hear that there's something like this that's kind of a switch that people can learn to flip on.
Yeah, because I know, like, when I even said during like heights of my success, like I was, I had a coach and I had been in therapy, and there were times when I would be like, oh my gosh, I finally had that breakthrough. And then something would re-trigger me and I'd get snapped back like a rubber band. And it was over and over and over again.
Well, I don't know what you're talking about or why that affects you. I would never relate.
Right? I mean, it's
just... Everybody, you're in the privacy of your own home or car listening to this, but raise your hand if you've ever done that. You just said snap back like a rubber band. I'm like, sometimes it feels like I'm watching a tennis match in my own life. Like, which side of the court am I on today, right? Oh, and so you don't feel that you've had, what can I call it, a relapse or like a re-engagement with that kind of process once you started working with your subconscious mind?
Yeah. Like I was so like, even during my first certification, I was like halfway through my program and I was like, am I not mad at that? Am I not upset at that anymore? Does that not bother me?
Wow.
And I was like, I knew it was like my calling. I mean, like, this is my calling to learn how to teach this work. So I did a deep dive and I got my board certified. I got board certification so I could train others to do this work. And then, like, after I graduated from the very first one, I was seeing a therapist at the time, and my therapist was like, well, Brigette, I'm always going to be here for you, but I feel like our work is done.
Oh,
And then
wow.
and then the coach I had been working with at the time, he was like, so that person that triggers you all the time, let's talk about all the things you could do. So when you notice you're being triggered, and I was like, actually, I'm good. Like, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. So they've lessened and lessened and lessened. Like, I had been in some really weird codependent relationships with some people. So after I went through my training, I was like, either the relationships either reinvented themselves so they were healthy, or then I was able to then just be like, oh, that relationship's over and I love that person from afar.
Yeah. To the
And
way
then when
guys
I
flow.
notice triggers in myself, that's just a warning sign for me. Not like a bad warning sign, but it's just my unconscious being like, hey, there's just something to heal over here. So then I move through things quicker, sooner, faster.
I love
Versus
that.
like the ruminating for
That's
like
so efficient.
and months.
I love efficiency. You're speaking my love language. And like your Wayne Dyer quote that you mentioned, when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, some of these relationships themselves completely transformed, and some of them you just realized they also changed. They changed their significance in your life, or where they were allowed to access you. It sounds like, which is really, really so powerful. And thank you for sharing some of your experiences of what kind of led you to this point, because I think it resonates with so many people. And as you mentioned, the 81 or whatever % of entrepreneurs that are suffering, and a lot of them in silence. When we're leading teams, we have to be, or we should be, brave. We should be courageous. We should be excited, bold and brazen, like the podcast name states. So we should be, fearless and out there and just taking charge, because we don't want a leader who's scared. We don't want to look to a leader who doesn't know what they're doing or who's struggling, right? So as leaders, a lot of times it's not that we don't allow ourselves to, but it doesn't even feel like we have a space to work on some of those subconscious things. So I love that you're bringing that to light and to the surface, because I think it does serve so many in this entrepreneur community. That sounds pretty incredible what you're sharing. And after all these years of consulting, what would you say is your biggest takeaway, your biggest lesson learned, whether it's through the work that you've been doing with clients or what you've learned from a client themselves?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest lessons I've learned is working with your unconscious mind and doing that inner healing work. That's been the biggest gift to me. I mean, I went through, for me personally, I went through bankruptcy. I went through because I was in a divorce that I went to personal bankruptcy. My ex-husband was a drug addict.
Oh, that's not easy at all.
That's like a whole,
Yeah.
could tell that story like a whole nother day, but like, divorce, bankruptcy, getting breast cancer for the first time while I own my business. I got it again in 2022. Working on your mindset is like one of the biggest gifts you could give yourself, and doing that inner healing work. So even when I did get breast cancer for the second time, because of the work I do, I was able to, I had the most emotionally healthy year I've ever experienced in my life. And I just launched my new company, Power and Joy Coaching Academy. And I still had a really prosperous year, and I worked 50% less of the time.
Yes. I love hearing that.
So,
that's real freedom that you're touching on, because whether or not your circumstance was easy or difficult or prosperous or not, you were experiencing levity, peace of mind, and something that really sounds like, I mean, to be able to say that in a year where you were dealing with a repeat of cancer, that's pretty tremendous and nothing to take lightly. And I thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
If you could go back to your younger self, your beginning of your entrepreneur journey, or before you even stepped into leadership, what is one piece of advice you would give young Brigette?
Work with your unconscious mind.
Yeah. Get up close and personal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Work with your unconscious mind. So your conscious mind and your unconscious mind are in rapport with each other, and they have congruency, so that things that come to you or become more easy and effortless.
I love that. How long have you been in that space of feeling this ease and this effortlessness?
I would probably say at least 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So
And then I keep working on myself. So I still do the work, but yeah, I would say
constant.
4 years ago was the catalyst for
Yes.
when I first took my first NLP certification training.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you dealt with coaching, you had done a lot of training and consulting, and then that piece was really what you felt like was that big shift, that quantum leap that you're waiting for. I love that. And this was just for fun to wrap up. I'd love it if you could share with our listeners something that might surprise them, a little fun fact, something that people would be surprised to learn about you.
Surprised. I will still go to I'm 51, which I can't even believe. I think my parents are playing a joke on me, and I still love going to see house music. I love going to festivals. I love dancing.
I love hearing this
music all night long.
Okay. What's your favorite festival you've been to recently?
Recently, oh gosh. I might go to Lollapalooza this year. I do like going to Lollapalooza, but I like, there's a festival in Chicago. It's called ARC, and it's a house music festival. And I'm probably going to be going, or like electronic music, house music, and I'll probably be going to that at the end of the summer. So last time I went, that was probably one of the most fun festivals I'd been to.
I love hearing this.
My best friend.
Anybody who's not having the opportunity to look at Bridget's beautiful face while we're talking, I'm astounded. You are 50 years young and beautiful, but seriously, I love hearing that you're still having fun doing that, and just found out a fun fact about you that we have in common. That's kind of exciting.
I love that.
Wonderful. Absolutely. It's been such a delight to share the last 30 minutes with you. And will you please just share with everybody listening where we can find you if we're wanting to work with you, or if you're ever teaching, doing conferences or anything like that, if there's just where we can find you, and this all will be also included in the show notes.
Yeah, I mean, I would say Facebook I'm really active on. So my Facebook page, and if someone messaged me, I'll message right away. Awesome. I mean, then all my information's on there. I mean, my website, which will probably be in the show notes, and I think my cell phone number's on there, and my email.
We're crying out loud. Okay.
So my information's, it's easy to find me. If you know my name and know how to spell it, you can find me easily.
We just need your social security number and your mom's maiden name, and we're set to go. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your generosity and your time. And I'm so happy that we had a chance to make this connection, learn a little bit more about your work. Mm-hmm. And let's get into our subconscious. Let's go. I'm really excited for this, and thank you for your time.
Oh, my pleasure.